Let's take a look at Friday in the NBA. There are 9 games on. It's really important that we get our streams correct. So let's look at the updates. Let's look at what we need to pay attention to. Are we paying attention to Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed. Michael, just once, can you answer the questions I asked you,
You are
please?
Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I used to like Rage Against the Machine, but then they went all political. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at LockedOnFantasyBasketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. Yeah, all platforms is back in business. But you are here on the video side of things. You can go double bang and listen to the audio later. If you're on the audio, come and check out some sexy graphics and me in a black t-shirt. Thumb it up, ring the bell, leave your comments down below as well. We are looking at Friday's games, the 1st of March. We are there into the second last month of the NBA season. So what are we paying attention to? In fact, what is on my radar? Well, we're going to start by looking at the Charlotte Hornets. They are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia. This is a back-to-back for Charlotte. The Hornets go Thursday, Friday, Sunday. They've only got 3 games next week. The Sixers go Friday, Sunday to end this week with 4 games next week. I'm going to go ahead and have a guess that LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams are out. That's not official, of course, because this absolute disaster of a franchise gives no updates, doesn't tell their fans anything, doesn't actually care about anybody. So there you go. I don't know whether LaMelo or Mark Williams are going to play. I do know that DeAnthony Melton will not play. That does not look good, and I think you can jack him.
Get that garbage out of here!
I already told you that I didn't think that he was a must-add player anyway, coming off the back injury, and with the crowd in that backcourt, I just didn't think that you needed to do that, and now you can 100% move on. Joel Embiid's going to be out. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back in March. That's my guess. I would say April at some point, but I just don't know at this stage. His interview that he gave, I think it was with Woj, I can't remember exactly, didn't give me any indication that he's coming back any point soon. Bob Covington's going to be out again with his knee. I don't think he plays again this season. And then KJ Martin's ankle problem, he is still listed questionable. What we want to watch for the Sixers is Paul Reed. He was bad last time out. We've seen this a couple of times where Reed struggled, and the next game out, he plays 30 minutes and Nick Nurse goes back to trusting him. But I don't know whether it happens again. Like if we see another game where Reed plays like 20 minutes, or if he gets benched, well, you don't hold on to a player like that. But I do have pretty good confidence that he will bounce back in this one. In terms of streams, Trey Mann is the guy we're going to keep going for in Charlotte. He's still 60% available. And then with Melton out, Kelly Oubre and Buddy Hield all get increased value. Hield is rostered everywhere. This is better for his value. And it moves Oubre at least back into the streaming zone. Obviously, his value had tumbled somewhat. The second game up, we look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. The Cavs and the Pistons both play Friday and Sunday this week. The Cavs have 4 games next week. The Pistons have 3. Tristan Thompson suspended. Marcus Sasser is dealing with a knee injury. That's all that's on the injury report at this point. We want to watch Dracaris Levert because the last 3 games, especially the double overtime one against the Bulls, he was awesome. Now, I don't trust Levert at all, but we have seen him have some prolonged, strong, hot streaks. He's also had prolonged, weak, cold streaks, but that's been about the last 3 months. So I don't mind if you want to add him, especially in points leagues. Long term, I don't know that it lasts, but why not? Good schedule, Friday, Sunday, +4 next week. Asar Thompson on the Pistons, I want to see. Minutes have been up over 30 the last game, and Monty Williams, who told us he's done experimenting with lineups and he's only playing to win now, told us that he's going to keep experimenting with the lineup of Isaiah Stewart playing next to Asar Thompson. They were fine in that last game against the Bulls. They'd been putrid prior to that. We'll see what happens. How much trust does he have in Asar? Does he go away from Asar at all to give Fontecchio minutes? At the moment, we are rostering Mr. Thompson, and we'll see where it goes. In terms of streaming, it is Caris LeVert, and it is the big fella, Alf Stewart, who is bad, but there's opportunity there to use him because they are going to play him minutes for whatever we might consider to be folly. The fact that starting Stewart at 4 is ridiculous. The fact that playing James Wiseman at backup center is ridiculous. That's what they're doing. So we can stream Isaiah Stewart in that spot. Dallas and Boston, both of these teams go Friday and Sunday to end this week. Both of these teams play 3 games next week. Luka Doncic has popped up on the injury report as questionable. He's got the nasal fracture. He's been playing through that, but also an ankle sprain. So again, that's worth, I think it'll be fine, but just that's worth monitoring. Maxi Kleber missed the last game, sitting out on a back-to-back. He is off the injury report and he is back in. And that is huge because we saw last time out for Dallas that Dan Gafford played 25 minutes, Derek Lively played 23 minutes, and both were 12-teamers in that game. So we want to see what happens. Lively's been putting up, what's a terrible word for a lot of that I can use? Mondo blocks. That's a terrible. Well, tell me, what's your worst word for a lot? A big quantity. Mucho. It's a bad. I know it's Spanish, but maybe Mondo isn't even the right word. Anyway, that's an unintentional sidebar. Derek Lively, good blocks numbers, but not a must roster. And I think we're going to see Gafford push back from 25 to 18 or so. Fingers crossed it doesn't, but I think it's happening. For the Celtics, Al Horford is just the guy that we want to watch, who's never really doing enough to be a staple 12-team league guy unless somebody is out. These guys, Lively and Horford, are both under 50% rostered, therefore they're both streamable. And Horford's fine to stream in on a day like this. I just don't want to always hold him because when he's playing those 23 off the bench, the value is just not really there. Also, shout out Xavier Tillman, who just doesn't play. He hasn't really cut into anybody's minutes at all on this team since coming across in the trade. The Warriors, they are taking on the Toronto Raptors. This is a back-to-back for Golden State. They go Friday, Sunday, as well as Thursday with 3 games next week. The Raptors finish out the week with Friday, Sunday, and 3 games next week as well. I am going to list Andrew Wiggins as out. I don't know if that's accurate. Steve Kerr was non-committal, but also it sounded like it wasn't going to be coming anytime soon. The Warriors are on a road trip, so I don't think that Wiggins is with them or he's going to join them. Yes, it is going back to Toronto, so maybe, but I honestly don't think he's going to play, so I am ruling him out at this point. Guy Santos is going to be out, and then Chris Boucher, the wiki, he is dealing with an illness. He's not going to play anyway, so that doesn't really matter. For the Raptors, Rowan Barrett is what I want to watch. Why can this man not hit free throws? Why is he turning into peak DeAndre Jordan from the line? He's always been bad from the line, but he stinks at the moment. It's obviously killing his overall fantasy rank appeal. So we always want to watch that. We want to watch the overall shooting numbers and any chance of defensive stats, which of course makes him good in points leagues and nowhere near as good as you think he is in category leagues. In terms of streams, Brandon Pajemski, with Wiggins out, that does help Pod, but Chris Paul returning hurts a little bit. They started Moses Moody last game. He's well down the stream list, I think, not a 12-teamer. Kelly Olynyk remains the stream guy in Toronto. Even if he's only playing 21 to 22 minutes, he's worth a look there. If he ever gets minutes next to Jakob Poeltl, well, things will look a lot better, but that doesn't seem like it's on the cards just at this point. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get your buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins, so just got to win. Doesn't matter what bet it is. You can do money line stuff, spreads, totals, player props, whatever. $5 bet, win it, get your $150 in bonus bets back. Bet all of your favorite players, all of your favorite teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. There was something in that copy there, reading that just, it's always sort of triggered my mind a little bit. And sidebar, that I want to talk about, because it says, like, it gives you this idea and gives you things to say, right? And it's like, bet all of your favorite NBA players and teams. And it strikes me really like, I don't know if negatively is the right word. I know that it was a way that the NBA was able to gain so much popularity through the 80s and 90s. But the way that the league or everyone promotes players over teams, it's weird to me. It doesn't feel right to me, and I don't really know why that is. So my question to you is, drop it in the comments or the chat below. Do you follow the NBA for a team, or do you follow it for a player? Because I know people who are like, well, I'm a LeBron fan, so I'm a Cavs fan now I'm a Heat fan, now I'm a Cavs fan, now I'm a Lakers fan. I still think overall the majority of people are like, I am a Raptors fan because I've obviously got nothing else going on in my life because I live in Canada, or I'm a Lakers fan, or I am a Thunder fan, or whatever, versus I am just an exclusive fan of a player. But I'd like to know how you view that. Be interesting. Cool. Sidebar. Let's look at the next game. And this one, I couldn't feel less interested, honestly, because it's, from a fantasy perspective, it's going to be a disaster. It's Portland and Memphis. Both of these teams play each other Friday, and then both of the, obviously, because I'm talking about them, but then they play each other again on Saturday. That's the end of their week. They've got a Friday, Saturday back-to-back against each other. Both teams have 4 games next week. And have a look at that injury report. Malcolm Brogdon, out. Scoot Henderson, going to be out. DeAndre Ayton with a hand sprain. No real update apart from more day-to-day. There's no way he's playing. I'm sorry. I just don't think he's playing. So I'm going to list him doubtful. Moses Brown, for some reason I spelled his name wrong. I don't know why. He's out. John Conchar has missed the last few with a thumb injury. They've been hornetsing him and listing him doubtful. So at the moment, I've got him questionable, but I don't know. Luke Kennard missed the last game. Absolutely conveniently that it was on a back-to-back and he got sick for the second game. But what are the odds? Unbelievable odds. I feel so sorry for him that happened. Anyway, so he might play. Derrick Rose left the last game after about 4 minutes with a back injury, so I'm going to suggest that he doesn't play. Marcus Smart will be out. Desmond Bane will be out. Scottie Pippen will be out. So the uncertainty around Conchar, Rose, Kennard, Ayton makes this game really tough to view. Look, if Kennard and Rose are out, then we're firing up John Conchar. If Kennard and Rose play, if Kennard and Rose are out, we fire up Jordan Goodwin. If Kennard and Rose play, Goodwin will get a 0 because they've got to preserve his days. That's what makes it tough. I don't know, but I don't think Rose will play. I'd say Kennard will, but I don't know. And Conchar, it's up in the air. And that's how the whole system goes for this team. And the same with Ayton. I don't expect that he plays, but he could. So what do we want to watch? Simons, Anthony, Red. We want to see what he's able to do because honestly, he's been a pretty sizable disappointment, I believe, this season. He has been horrid of late. I'd like to see him do more than be basically the exact same player he's been his whole career. A guy that masquerades as a point guard who's shooting inefficiently, who doesn't really ramp up and help his teammates. And it sounds like I'm being super harsh, but he just hasn't really stepped up. Still rostering him, of course. On the Memphis side, it was a great game last time out for Santi Aldama. Awesome. If he does that every game, we love to roster that. The problem is he doesn't. And he might play 24 minutes in the next game. I don't know. The minutes are all over the shop. And I don't look at one game from the Grizzlies and go, all right, we are set. This is what happens each game, because it's not. And that will change everything. So we want to see what they do with Aldama. Because, of course, this is the Memphis question marks. And that's all it is. We just don't know. Sometimes until 20 minutes before the game. Is Jordan Goodwin actually active? We don't know. And that's a real problem. In terms of streams, well, Drop Reith is right up there. I don't believe Ayton will play it, and I believe Reith will start. That will give more minutes to Kamara and more minutes to Jabari Walker, maybe Ibu Budgie as well, but I think it'll be Walker and Reith, and I prefer Reith in that spot. I don't know that this shuts Ayton down for the season or even a week, but in the short term, I'm adding Reith. I think GG Jackson, who's now down to only 28% rostered, is worthy to stream. But of course, you've got to be cautious. He shot 8%, I believe it was, 2 games ago, and then went 5 of 7 in the next game. You don't really get many times where a player's shooting percentage in one game is higher than his shot attempts in the next one. That doesn't happen that often. All right, actually, you know what? That's completely untrue because it happens all the time. Because someone who shoots 50% will never take 50 shots the next game. My bad. You don't often get someone shooting under 10% from the field and then having fewer shot attempts in the next one. Maybe I'm just lying. Anyway, it's funny. It's funny. That's fine. 8%, 7 attempts. He doesn't do anything in those other areas, but he is streamable to at least trying to get some volume in for points. But you understand that there are drawbacks, to put it kindly, to GG Jackson's game. Indiana. They are going down to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. Of course, who else would they be taking on in New Orleans? The Pacers go Friday, Sunday to end this week, and then they've got 3 games in Week 19. Well, this is the finale for the Pelicans. This is their final game of the week. They play Friday, and then they're done. And then there's 3 games for them next week. Doug McDermott will be out. I don't know about Aaron Nesmith. He's been out since before the All-Star break, I believe, with an ankle sprain. Not looking good at the moment. Last game, Mathurin sucked because that's what he's been his whole career. So we'll see if he's out. If Nesmith is out, then Mathurin still looks okay. But Nesmith returning, I think, would kill any hope there. Dyson Daniels will be out for the Pelicans, but Jose Alvarado's suspension ends. So we've seen Trey Murphy get these 30 minutes a night. Alvarado's going to get 20 somewhere. Where do they come from? Does Herb Jones move from 37 down? What do they do with Valanciunas' minutes? Because that's something we need to watch, and that is the big thing. He played 7 minutes last game, and it was against this same team. So do they go small again? Now, Valanciunas was getting absolutely cooked to begin this game, and that's why he played so few. I don't think he'll play 7, but I don't think he goes over 22. On the on the Pacers side, Obi Toppin was great last time out, but normally he's an 18-minute player who doesn't do anything close to that. He's at least somewhat streamable. I still look at Nembhard as probably the best under 50% roster stream guy for the Pacers because Mathurin's above that number. And Larry Nance is the guy with the Pelicans. But that return of Alvarado just creates a few more little complications and then another potentially or likely low-minute performance from old mate Valanciunas. The next one, we go to the Sacramento Kings. They are going to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the final game for the Kings for the week. They play Friday and then 4 games next week. The Wolves go Friday and Sunday. They've got 4 games the following week as well, so they've got a pretty strong schedule period here. De'Aaron Fox sat the last game. Davion Mitchell started and was dreadful. I think that Fox will play. He was close to playing on Wednesday, so I think he's going to play in this one. Sasha Vezenkov is out for the Kings. It hasn't meant that Harrison Barnes is playing more minutes because we'll talk about Barnes in a second. And this isn't confirmed, but I think Kyle Anderson won't play. Anderson is dealing with a knee sprain. Chris Finch was like, yeah, look, I think it might be a bit of time, but we don't know. We'll see what happens over the next 48 hours. I'd be pretty stunned if he leaves the game with a knee sprain. They're not saying it's just a one-game soreness thing, that he's back like 2 days later. I really doubt it. So I think that Anderson probably is out the rest of this week, but I don't know that for sure. What am I watching? For the Kings, it's Malik Monk. Real down period at the moment for Monk, not shooting well. His minutes are okay, but you know the Mike Brown quick hook. You know what happens. It might be Herder, it might be Monk. Sometimes Duarte gets in and plays a little bit extra. If Fox is out, you would hope you get more from Monk, but that wasn't last game. They just got cooked in that one. MVP candidate, Domantas Sabonis. I feel that feels bad. It feels like I'm crapping on the Kings, but we don't have to have these Kendrick Perkins discussions. And again, this man talking basketball, I could not. The poster child for you can only talk about it if you've played. We've got to put Domantas Sabonis in the MVP conversation. Like I've said a million times, Perk, if you're watching. If the conversation is, should Domantas Sabonis be an MVP candidate, and your answer is no, absolutely not, well, that's a fine conversation to have. But what's the MVP conversation? Sabonis has been pretty good. He's been very good. That's fine. That's not anywhere close to being an MVP. Stop saying stuff just to say stuff. And then you get the Kings fans that applies. Finally, someone watches Sacramento. No, we all actually watch it. We've seen it. He's just not an MVP, and that's okay, yeah? That's okay not to not be an MVP. It's not even be in the discussion. I got Malik Monk actually in the MVP discussion. Man, should I actually consider Malik Monk for MVP? No. Discussion done. Anyway, we want to watch the Wizard of Naz Reid, who, with Anderson out, gets a bump. Now, last game, it also helped that Rudy Gobert sucked. He was terrible. So Reid played more. Now, Reid had been also terrible for about 2 months leading up to this. And then we had no Towns and Anderson got hurt. Then we had sucky Gobert and Anderson hurt. And that helped Reid. If Towns and Gobert play their usual minutes, even with Ando out, what does Reid do? We need to see that. In terms of streaming, it is the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. I still think he's streamable, but in 3 of the last 4 games, Barnes has played under 20 minutes. Lucky they prioritised their off-season to re-sign him. Lucky. And gave away a first-round pick as well. Good for them. Yeah, he's still streamable, but the faith I have there is very, very limited. In terms of Wolves streamers, Reid is probably rostered, but we go to him. Otherwise, we do go to Jaden McDaniels, who we know is going to start and play good minutes. We just don't know whether he's going to do anything good in those minutes, unfortunately. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. That's the easiest and the most exciting way to play DFS as well. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 individual player stat projections, and then you watch the winnings roll in. It is demon time on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Demons and Goblins are the newest and the most exciting way to play at Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts, and now you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types is what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Okay, let's go to the next one. It is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. The Bucks are on a back-to-back. They're playing on Thursday, and that's the end of their week. So their last game's Friday. They got 4 games the following week. It's also the end of the Bulls week, playing on Friday with 4 games next week as well. Chris Middleton will be out. Andre Jackson is still questionable for the game on Thursday. Alex Caruso is now officially listed questionable with his hamstring injury. I don't think that he's going to play, but I don't know. Actually, you know what? I listed Moses Brown as out. He's actually been upgraded to questionable. There you go. So just there's a quick one for you. Alex Caruso has been officially listed as questionable, which makes him makes the whole sort of rotation part difficult, I guess, to figure out. Because if he is there in this matchup, what happens to Andre Drummond? Because Drummond last game was great, played a lot of minutes, but not sure that would happen if Caruso plays. Torrey Craig has been ruled out, or he's out. We know he's out with this leg injury. For the Bulls, Ayo Dosunmu is getting a lot of minutes. He's playing quite well. He should be on rosters, so we just want to keep watching that, but let's see how they use the Caruso, Dosunmu, and Drummond minutes. In terms of streams, Leaky Beasley there for the Bucks, and Andre Drummond's a pretty good stream also for the Bulls, especially if Caruso is out. We did just have a couple of injury updates just drop. Anthony Edwards just popped up on the injury report as questionable with an ankle problem, and Kyle Anderson is officially doubtful. So again, we didn't think Anderson was going to play. He's officially doubtful. DeAndre Ayton is officially doubtful for the Blazers as well, so we got that one. And there was another one that I saw pop up as well. Yeah, Don Mitchell has popped up as questionable for the Cavs with knee soreness. He was pretty poor yesterday in that double overtime game against the Bulls, but he has now popped up as questionable. There you go. All right, so that one just came through as well. The last game of the day, we're looking at the Washington Wizards and the LA Clippers. This is a back-to-back for Washington. They finished their week on Friday. That's their last game. They got 4 games next week, while the Clippers go Friday, Sunday with 4 games next week as well. Bilal Coulibaly has been ruled out of the game on Thursday. I don't know whether he'll play on Friday or not. Denny Avdia returns on Thursday, and I expect that he plays Friday, but he may not. Paul George and Ivica Zubac. George has missed the last couple with knee soreness. Zubac was sick last game. I can see both guys playing here, but I don't have a strong reason to believe that necessarily. In terms of the Clippers, Terrence Mann has been playing well. I don't really trust Terrence Mann doing this long term. I've seen Terrence Mann play for a long time. This is a nice stretch, and if Paul George was out, he's at least somewhat streamable, but that's about it. And then for stream guys, Corey Kispert is the guy that I like, especially if Bilal is out or if Denny sits, but he's a good streamable guy, Kispert. And then for the Clippers, I still go with Norman Powell over Amir Coffey and over Terrence Mann in that stream spot there, if that is if Paul George especially does happen to be out. There's only the 2 teams that play the Friday, Saturday back-to-back, and it's 2 of the more disaster teams. It is the Blazers and the Grizzlies playing each other, and trying to grab a guy to play both of those games, especially on the Memphis side, could be nigh impossible. Because who knows if they're going to play or not. You don't know if they're going to play both games. As you know, they are the Memphis question marks. What else do we need to look at? Who's chunking it up? Friday through Tuesday. All of these low-volume days as well. Trey Mann, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. Kelly Olynyk, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. Andy Nembhard, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. Matisse Thybulle, Friday, Saturday, Monday. He's getting a lot of minutes. He's not going to score, obviously, but you might get 10 steals, honestly, through those 3 games. You've got Al Horford going Friday, Sunday, Tuesday as well, and Gary Trent and the Raptors Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, with some decent enough value there. We've got 5 teams that play 5 games in 8 nights, starting on Friday. The Cavaliers, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, the Sixers, and the Blazers. You got to watch that one for the Grizzlies and all their shutdown sort of stuff. The Donovan Mitchell knee thing and the Anthony Edwards ankle thing is a little concerning about this your sort of packed-in period of games, so we just need to pay attention to that somewhat as well. Streams of the day. I have to stick with my projections and what I think, and Paul Reed does come out as the best 10-team streamer, but I get it if you don't want to do it, it's okay. But I still think he's got this really strong permanent numbers, and the shooting has just been like weirdly like 8 percentage points off for I don't know what reason. So I do think he's worth looking at as a stream. Trey Mann is the 12-team streamer. 14-team is Dwop Reith, and 16-teamer we're going with Tamani Kamara. Andre Drummond would jump to the top of this list if we hear that Alex Caruso is out. I am going to still put Drummond as the Yahoo point streamer, and for ESPN I'm going to go with Trey Mann as the streamer there. For your 10-team stream options, we'll go with Paul Reed, Nick Richards. These are all available in 60% or less. Trey Mann, Asar Thompson, Dwop Reith, and Ayo Dosunmu. Chuck Andre Drummond on that list as well if Caruso is out. Otherwise, I've just got Drummond sitting there as a 12-team stream guy. Just with those injuries, he probably does play a little bit of crossover with Vooch. You got Kelly Olynyk there, Matisse Thybulle, Greg Jackson, Al Horford, and Jordan Goodwin with one of the biggest question marks next to him ever. I just don't know that he plays. But he could also play 30 minutes, or he could play 0. It does at least appear that if he plays good minutes, and if he doesn't, well, that's it. He doesn't come in and play 12 minutes or something like that. For deep leagues, we go to Andrew Nembhard, Tamani Kamara, Cody Martin, who's putting up some really interesting numbers, Larry Nance, Zaire Williams, pretty good role for Zaire as well, and Moses Moody with the expected absence of Andy Wiggins. For points leagues, I do have Andre Drummond there at the top, followed by Trey Mann, GG Jackson, Dwop Reith, Drakaris Levert, and Brandon Pajemski. And that brings us to the end of the Daily Look Ahead Waiver Wire streaming show for Friday with 9 games on in the NBA. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.